I have already made several videos about people with shocking looks. I have posted links to other videos on this topic in the attached commentary. But before I get to the video, I want to recommend you my new channel Vision of Crime, where I tell about interesting and criminal stories and mysterious disappearances, shocking crimes in the USA and Europe. I am sure you will not be bored. Follow the link that appeared in the upper right corner. Also, the link to the channel I have placed in the description to this video. So, let's continue. Freak shows peaked in the 18th century, but the first references to such performances date back to the 16th century. Over time, traveling circuses, where the highlight of the program was performances by people with body abnormalities, became a major entertainment throughout the civilized world, although the craving for this kind of performances does raise doubts about civilization. The word freak itself certainly offends people with all kinds of physical abnormalities, but it is the word that has tacitly been chosen as the only correct one. Today we're going to tell you about 10 people who were participants in freak shows in the 19th and 20th centuries, including General Tom Tom and a woman with a pig's face. Sit back as we begin our anatomy lesson. Minnie Woolsey. In many sources one finds the pseudonym Cuckoo Bird Girl, by which audiences dubbed Minnie Woolsey. She was born in 1880 with a congenital skeletal condition that manifested itself as an unusually small skull with a pointed face, which determined her resemblance to a bird. Also because of this rare disease, Minnie had no hair or teeth and was presumably nearly blind. During her performances, Bird Girl wore a North American Native American costume and addressed the audience in an invented language. She later stopped speaking, simply dancing in a costume of feathers. Minnie Woolsey's popularity was so great that in the 1930s she even starred in the movie Freaks, which was banned in various countries and states for more than 3 decades and only gained cult status in the 1960s. As with most circus freak performers, Woolsey's origins are a mystery behind 7 seals. The only thing known about the girl's early life is that she was rescued from an asylum for patients with mental disabilities. Also unknown is the exact date of her death, although she definitely lived at least 80 years, as she continued performing until 1960. Ella Harper. Ella Harper was 10 years older than Minnie Woolsey. She earned the nickname Camel Girl and was a real star of the late 19th century freak show. People traveled from all over the world to see Ella, who was born with her knees bent backwards, which forced the girl to move exclusively on all fours. As a teenager, Ella made a huge amount of money, $200 a week, which in today's inflation-adjusted terms equates to $5,000. Ella Harper left the freak show at the age of 16, determined to get an education and lead a normal life. After that, she never once appeared in a circus or even photographed for the press. Ella's last photograph is from the same year, 1886. Having received an education, the girl married and even managed to have a child. Unfortunately, Harper's later fate is full of tragedy. Her daughter died just 6 months after her birth. Ella embraced the Adventist faith with her husband, and 12 years after the birth of her firstborn, she decided to take custody of the newborn baby girl from an orphanage. However, that child passed away even earlier, before she was 4 months old. Little is known of Ella Harper's later life. One source claims that she died at age 51 of colon cancer. Julia Pastrana. Julia Pastrana was born in the 1930s in Mexico. Her pathology is called hypertrichosis. It is accompanied by increased hair growth all over the body, including the face. Julia was short, about 135 centimeters, with an enlarged nose and ears, crooked teeth, and a forward jaw that made her look like a primate. Charles Darwin himself studied the girl and concluded that her anthropometry was similar to that of a gorilla, but he also noted her good manners and education. The girl rose to fame by traveling around the world with freak shows. Her childhood was shrouded in mystery, with one of the girl's actual hosts making up a story about her adoptive mother finding Julia in the woods, and a bribed doctor claiming she was the fruit of a human mating with an orangutan. Julia Pastrana even married her troupe's host, but there is hardly any talk of pure love. While on tour in Moscow, the pregnant Pastrana died in childbirth. She was about 26 years old. The baby outlived its mother by only 3 days. Not wanting to put up with the loss of profits, Julia's husband turned to Professor Sokolov, who mummified his wife and child. After some time, Theodore Lent, which was the name of the husband of the gorilla girl, found a woman with the same disease and married her. He traveled around Europe and exhibited his wife along with the mummified child and Julia until he was placed in a psychiatric hospital in St. Petersburg. After Julia's death, it was more than 150 years before she was buried in her homeland. Pig-faced women. Stories of a woman with a pig's face can be classified as urban legends that walked all over European cities. Almost all of the stories boiled down to one thing: a woman of high society was born with a human body but a pig's head. By the beginning of the 19th century, rumors were circulating that one such woman lived in London. The myth caused a mass panic. Realizing the public's interest in all kinds of physical abnormalities, enterprising citizens began to found one freak show after another, looking for people with body abnormalities. The directors of some freak shows decided to go for a trick. They molded a pig mask out of wax, making the audience believe that there really was a pig-faced woman on stage. Others would water a bear and shave off all of its facial hair, apparently believing that shaved bears look like pigs. The craze for women with pig snouts reached such proportions that Charles Dickens declared, "Not a fair goes by without their appearance." The original story dates back to the early 17th century. It says that a witch punished a rich man by putting a curse on his wife. She gave him a choice: either the girl's pig snout would be visible only to him, but others would see her plain face, or she would be beautiful to him but ugly to everyone around. Apparently, the man made a selfish choice. General Tom Tam. The general's real name was Charles Stratton, but he became known to the world under the pseudonym General Tom Tam. He was born in the late 1930s as a healthy child, but as an infant he stopped growing. The 5-year-old dwarf was accepted into his traveling circus by the famous showman and Phineas Barnum. Traveling with Barnum, Charles achieved international recognition, married, and made a huge fortune. Interestingly, as a teenager Stratton began to grow again, however, did not reach 90 centimeters. While in the troupe Barnum, the boy learned to sing and dance, but most of all, the audience liked when he appeared in a military uniform representing Napoleon Bonaparte. People nicknamed him General for these numbers. Interestingly, over time, Stratton became a full partner Barnum when he helped him out of the financial crisis. Charles married a girl of the same height, bought a yacht and a mansion, where he died of apoplexy at the age of 45. More than 20,000 people came to say goodbye to General Tom Tom. Chang the Chinese Giant. Chang was born in the 1940s in China. He was over 240 centimeters tall and had noble facial features and regular body proportions. For unknown reasons, Chang left China in his youth, having moved to London. There he gained recognition and became a global celebrity. Initially, this Chinese giant was not planning to stay in England for long, but the welcome and interest of the public turned a short visit into a 2-year tour. Thousands of people paid enormous sums of money just to see the huge Chinese man and hear his rare accent. Interestingly, over time, Chang learned 5 languages, not counting his native Chinese. Chang's world tour was a huge success. At his performances, he often stood next to a dwarf, which only increased the effect of his anthropometric data. The giant's salary was about $500 a month, unthinkable money at the time. Especially when you consider that he got it just for standing on a pedestal or sitting on a throne. By the way, according to a long Chinese tradition, Chang took a 2.5-meter coffin with him everywhere, in which he was buried after his death in 1893. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and write what you think about it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support is very important to me.